Hello and welcome to another tutorial video for TazMcCarthy.com, this time on sketching in perspective. To understand what perspective is, it's good to look at the type of drawing we've done so far. So far we've been working in 2 dimensions, 2D. We call these orthographic drawings. That's where we have top, front, side views all relating to each other, and we draw each one from square on. Different styles of 3D drawing we can do. 3D, another word for is pictorial, is isometric. That's based on very precise angles where every angle is 30 degrees, and that gives quite a nice effect. But for proper realism we need to try perspective drawing. As you can see in this photo here, that everything is shrinking away, just like our eyes see in real life. The further something it is, the smaller it appears. So sketching in this style adds more realism than sketching in isometric. Also needs a lot less measurement, despite being a little bit harder to do. There are different types of perspective, but each perspective drawing has the same characteristics. They will always have a horizon or horizontal line that goes across somewhere across the drawing from left to right. After that, they're classified by the amount of vanishing points they have. A vanishing point is a point that everything shrinks back to. As we can see in this one here, our vanishing point is in the center because all of our lines are shrinking back to that same point. So this would be a 1-point perspective, or one vanishing point. In our example here, you can see all of the lines are going back to that one vanishing point. The type that we're going to do is called a 2-point perspective drawing because it has 2 vanishing points that the lines shrink back to. Another type that's probably better suited for drawing really large scale things like buildings is 3-point perspective, where you have a third one down at the base. But not to worry about that for now. What we're trying to focus on is 2-point perspective. Some common characteristics, as we just explained, for perspective drawings. We will always have a horizon at the top, and we will always have our vanishing points on that horizon unless we're doing 3-point perspective. After that, we're going to draw the starting corner, and depending on where we do that, it'll change the angle that we're looking at our object. If it's right in the middle, we'll see equal this side and this side. If it's further to one side, you'll see only a little bit of this side and a lot of that side. Depending on how low you do it as well, will change the amount of perspective, the exaggeration of that shrinking. That's up for you to experiment in time, but during this tutorial I'll show you a good place to start. Okay, so here we have a very simple phone which we've drawn in 2D, and using our previous techniques we've set up construction or a bounding box around our features. Not only does this help us drawing our 2D drawing, our orthographic drawing, but it also helps us when we convert to perspective. Drawing in perspective always has the same first steps. The first thing we need to do is our horizon line, which, as the name suggests, is horizontal and goes across the page from left to right. The next thing we need after this is 2 vanishing points, since we're doing 2-point perspective. Good place to put those is right on the edges. The next step always is to draw the front corner of your object, whatever is closest to what you're seeing. On our one it's going to be one of these lower corners here. So I'll pick a spot down here. From that point we line up and rule back to the vanishing point. Also from that point we do a vertical line straight up. What we've drawn now is our outside corner is this, and the height of our phone here is this. So what we need to do is decide how wide this measurement is on our 3D phone. So I think it's somewhere around here. So once again, from that point, a line back. Our next measurement to work out is how tall the phone is in proportion. If it's this wide, then it's probably something like this tall. Little mark, and then as always ruling back to our vanishing point. That gives us the footprint of our phone, which is this shape here. At the moment it's only very flat. We need to give it some thickness to make it 3D. So the next thing we'll work out is how thick the phone is. That distance there, and that comes along here. I think it might be about here. And once again, ruling to the vanishing points in the corners. Okay, we had our previous corners. We're going to rule up as well. And then where we've just ruled up and our second line was going, we're also going to line that back to the vanishing point. Hopefully these two here will be pretty much in line to the back corner of our phone. So now we have a nice 3D in perspective box that our phone will fit inside. So we can start to add some details. Just like we did on the 2D one, we started with a rectangular box and then added the corners. We can do that the same here. So starting to round the corners. New line down in the corner, rounding. Make this outline a little bit darker so you can see. Okay, so we have the outline of our phone in perspective. Now that we've got our base box, we can start to add in even more details. Take for instance the screen here. Like we did with our fingers the other time, we'll work out the proportion that it fills up. I'd say that's around 3/4. So this measurement here needs to be transferred onto here, so I want to come about 3/4, which is probably about here. And like always, lining that up with the vanishing point, and that now, that line here is the bottom of the screen. We know that on the sides that our screen is just inside from the edge, so we can mark that and then also rule that back. And in our main phone it's also a little bit in from the top, that there. So we come down from the top just a little bit as well. And now we have our screen. Try to make it a little bit darker. When you're setting up the basic structure of an object in perspective, generally you'll only draw 3 types of lines. A line that goes straight up and down, vertical, and the other 2 lines either go to the left vanishing point or to the right vanishing point. That's generally going to be your choice each time. Next detail we'll add will be the round circle here, some sort of button. Now you note in this drawing that I've drawn it inside a box. The first thing we're going to do to draw that in perspective in 3D is to construct that box. So it sits in the middle of here, so the middle is somewhere around there. So I'll do a nice light line, that's the middle, and we'll find the middle this way, probably around there. So this X here is the same X as here, the middle of the circle. Now we need to add how thick and wide it is. So just like we always do, we use our fingers, work it out, probably from here to here for the height, and the width probably here to here. Lining up with the vanishing point. And then these ones lining up with the vanishing point. And we have our 4 little boxes, 1 big box, just like we had on the 2D drawing. You'll notice on the 2D drawing, our box, the circle touches the top, left, bottom and right hand side. This will carry over in the 3D drawing. What you'll find is you can draw a circle in 4 different segments, and they'll come smoothly out of this straight line and then smoothly back into this straight line, as if you were drawing a straight line, then an arc, then a straight line. So now you can come over to your perspective one. So 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll find that 2 of them are really smooth curves. So it doesn't turn very sharply, and they'll be opposite each other. Okay, there's my 2 smooth ones. Now I'll add my 2 sharp curves, which are also opposite each other. Now this isn't the type of thing you'll probably get right first go. So just like we did when we were sketching, take your time, do it rough if you need to, and then go much darker over your actual circle. After that you can get a new piece of paper and trace on the exact one that you want. Same techniques apply. Okay, we have another circle inside. We should be able to draw it alongside our old one without setting up the whole box. And we also have 2 small circles either side. Now that's just about in line with the top, and I'll just have a go at doing these very quickly freehand. But if you're not confident, set up the bounding box and take all of the steps. You can see here we've got our phone in 3D, in perspective, converted from a 2D drawing. Okay, let's pretend that this button was on the opposite side, so we would see it down the side here. We use the same technique. We work out how far from the top it comes. This measurement here, probably about there. And remember, we've only got 3 types of lines, either straight or to the vanishing point. This one is a straight line. The button's probably about this thick, and it's not the whole width of the phone. There's a little gap in from each side, so we need to recreate that there. It probably goes from about here to here. So we'll line that up with the vanishing point, and all of a sudden we have our button. It's not until you start drawing quite complex 3D shapes that you can't set up things in boxes, and even then it still helps to do it. So there we have it, our completed first copy of a 3D perspective phone. You find this technique, starting with the boxes, works for pretty much anything. Even a car fits inside a box to some extent. If you set up the box in perspective, then whatever you draw inside it will also be in perspective.